this feels like, and, you can always correct me if I'm wrong, like an intense kind of thing, intense kind of show.
It is. It's very intense. There isn't a set. There are
Yeah,
no props,
yeah,
six actors and six chairs, and that's it. There's
yeah.
nothing else, there's nothing really to hide behind, which is also quite exciting, but also terrifying,
Mhm.
right? It's you. It's just you and the words.
Welcome, everybody, to Casting for Two, the podcast, as always, hosted by me, Chris. Welcome, everybody, to episode number 509, 509, and feeling fine. Welcome, everybody. Phenomenal guest. Just, oh my God, this guest today is just such a phenomenal person. But of course, before I intro the guest, castingfor2.com is the best place to go to find all the places you can listen to the podcast, whether it's Spotify, iTunes, or Google Podcasts. It's all there. And if you want to support the show, feel free to take a gander at the Pod Shop, the Pod merch store. Buy yourself something that looks good so that, you can look as good as your podcast feed looks. So there you go, castingfor2.com. My guest today is a phenomenal just actress, a teacher, mother, person. Jesmille Darbouze is on the podcast, and she is just a phenomenal person. Had the loveliest chat with her, and she can currently be seen on the stage because she's in a show with Jessica Chastain. I don't know if anybody has really heard of that actress, but yeah, it's the show that she's on is called The Doll's House, and it's phenomenal. We get a lot more into what the show's about, so I'm gonna stop talking and Jesmille, take it away. So how do you get ready for the day? Like, if you have a show later or something like that, or you just have stuff to do. What do you do? Any kind of prep work for that?
Sure, I do. Well, I'm up pretty much at 6:30 every morning because I have two children.
Okay,
So,
okay.
yeah, if that gives you any idea what my mornings are like before even coming to the theater. But as far as my routine for the show, I generally like to arrive at the theater at least 2 hours beforehand, just
Mm,
so I can kind of relax, shake off whatever might have been stressing me out, or, you know, whatever other outside energy that I might have been dealing with. I get to my dressing room early. I like to have some tea. I generally do a warm up as well, either like a physical warm up and a vocal warm up, and really try to keep it pretty quiet in the dressing room. I know a lot
mhm,
of people like music, and but I personally love it really nice and quiet. And the cast, we all do a warm up on stage with
mm,
each other, about 45 minutes to places, which is really nice. And
mhm.
that's also kind of a part of that. But the in between can vary, before arriving in the theater, whether it's house stuff or, I also teach, so I'm still dealing with students and that aspect of my life as well. So the day is pretty full before I arrive to the theater.
Yeah, and then you have to do more work. Okay.
Yes,
Oh,
yes.
there's something about the 2 hour before that I relate to. No matter, my girlfriend will be like, "Hey, we have something going on at 4." I'm like, "Okay, at 2, I'll start getting ready," and she's just like, "Why 2?" I'm like, "Cause it's 2 hours before." Like,
Yeah.
duh. Everybody knows that. You get ready 2 hours before, and she's just, oh, okay. But I
Well, it
just
gives you that extra buffer time because I always feel like an
exactly.
hour before is too close.
Mm-hmm.
And then you look at your watch and you only have a half an hour left. And
Yeah.
it's just, yes, I agree. I think more time is definitely helpful.
And it's just that thing of, I just can take my time. I don't have to worry about anything.
Yes,
I'm just like,
yes.
do, 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 do. And, it usually means I'm early for things. So that's perfectly fine with me. So, uh, yeah, I love that 2 hours before. The reason why I ask is just because, before a podcast, I usually like to immerse myself in whoever I'm chatting with.
Hmm.
And normally I've been chatting with a lot of musicians, so I've been listening to their music, stuff like that. Today I just have on random music, and it's very calming, very soothing. And
Hmm.
I'm not saying I'm sleepy, but I'm just in a really almost peace
In a
too
Zen place.
yeah,
That's like,
and it's too much. It's too zen. I could, I'm not saying I could
right.
take a nap, but I'm just like, oh no, I need to get the energy up. Why did I go down this calm and soothing road? So that's
It's what your body needed. It sounds
I
like it's exactly
guess.
what you needed today. You listened to your body, and I support that 100%.
Well,
So,
I appreciate that. It's still, I got a whole day of interviews. I don't need. I need to wake up. I don't know. It'll be okay. It'll be fine.
yeah.
I'm not worried. I don't. Yeah, I'm not worried. But anyway,
What
so
time?
no.
No, go ahead. I was going to ask you, well, what time do you start your day? Like, how early are you up?
Right now I kind of have the luxury of not really having a need to be up early. Um, Normally I would say around 8 a.m. is kind of when I'm just kind of, waking up or just like going through emails in bed, stuff like that.
Hmm.
But this, I have, like I said, I have a full day of chats today. And so this is
Right.
the first thing I'm doing today. And it's just like, oh, okay, cool. I love an early chat. To me, that is just the best. Even though
Hmm.
it's 11 my time, so it's not really that early. But still, there's something nice about it. And but yeah, on a work day, I mean, if I have to work, I'm usually up by like 6 a.m. to maybe six
Okay.
thirty.
Yeah. Pretty early. So we're up at the same time.
Pretty much, yeah. And I when it's a work day, I usually like to get about maybe 6 7 hours of sleep if I can. I just I always like to get less sleep because I know when at the end of the day, I am gonna have that better sleep in my head. It makes sense. So
Yes.
I'm just like,
Yes.
yeah, we'll see. How much sleep are you? And I know you said you had two little ones, but how much sleep are you getting?
It really varies
Yeah.
because I mean, I try to, the shows, we have 7 o'clock shows right now,
Mm,
except for on the weekend. And I'm still not home until about 10:30.
mm,
And then you still kind of have to decompress
yeah.
afterward. It takes like another hour. And so 11:30 to 6:30, whatever that, or 11. I mean, if I could be in bed by 10:30, it's a really amazing night, but it's really hard to get to bed any sooner than 11 or 11:30, unfortunately, right now.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
it's just tough. Yeah.
And with the decompression, what do you are you like still trying to get I don't I like what does that entail? Are you just trying to get out of the
Mhm.
character, or are you just like recapping your day, or
Yeah, I feel like I'm able to release the character and release the work fairly easily,
Mhm.
especially the minute I step off stage. I think for me, it's the one time of the day where at least it's quiet in my house, in my
Mm.
apartment,
Yeah.
and the kids are sleeping. So I generally will eat because I don't eat a very heavy meal before the show.
Mm.
I've learned that if I do, it just sucks any energy I have or any energy I
Right. It's
need.
like it's nap
Um,
time now.
that's exactly it. It's nap time, and the show has very dark lighting on
Mm.
stage.
Oh, okay.
We're seated. We're all on stage the entire time.
Uh-huh.
So we have to be very careful, especially if I'm only running on 6 hours of sleep, really heavy meal, dark lighting.
Yeah. Yeah.
not a good combination.
And then
Uh,
tonight they're gonna bring out blankets and
exactly.
pillows, and instead of chairs, we're having recliners. It's
Right,
just, oh no.
right. It's not, yeah. So that then I'll generally eat and I'll catch up with my husband too, because we haven't had any time to
Mm,
talk. And
hmm.
if I get a chance to, to read or watch a TV show, I will. But even just taking a shower without anyone knocking on the door asking for something is a luxury
Yeah,
at
yeah,
night.
yeah.
So pretty boring,
No,
honestly.
no, I mean, look, I get it. Especially just kind of hearing about the show because my girlfriend is the theater person. She has her BA in it, so when it comes to matters in the theater, I ask her because I was just asking her like, how do you know all this stuff? It's amazing to me. But I was telling her, oh, who I'm interviewing, what show, and she was just uh, the only thing that she did, and I've never gotten this reaction out of her. She did like a very enthusiastic, like, oh, like, is okay, that's good, and yes, it's good, and she was just like very intrigued by the show and everyone behind it. So and just kind of hearing her talk, and again going through a lot of the video that's available out there, I'm just like this feels like, and you can always correct me if I'm wrong, like an intense kind of thing, intense kind of show.
It is. It's very intense. It's a beautiful production,
Hmm.
and the the show itself deals with the complexities of humans, right?
Mm,
And just
yeah.
how complex we are. And there is definitely a level of tension throughout the show. There isn't an intermission either. So
Mm,
we go 2 hours straight. And with that requires a tremendous amount of focus.
hmm.
Too. We don't leave the stage. We're all there. There's 6 of us on stage all at the same time and kind of interacting with each other in and out as we follow Nora's journey. And it is quite intense.
Hmm.
And also there isn't a set. There are no
Yeah.
props,
Yeah.
6 actors and 6 chairs, and that's it. There's
Yeah.
nothing else, there's nothing really to hide behind, which is also quite exciting, but also terrifying,
Hmm.
right? It's you. It's just you and the words. So with that comes a huge amount of vulnerability that seeps in, and also um, this really true bearing of self, and
Hmm.
um, re- you know definitely requiring us to connect deeply with each other,
Hmm.
and also just kind of be fearless and surrender to whatever the show will be that day.
Hmm. And not saying that or obviously this is like a beast of a production, but what had you done anything or like any like little elements of this before as
Mhm.
an actress? It's yeah.
Yeah, so I have a unique kind of story in relationship to Jamie Lloyd. I worked on Betrayal, which was done in 2019, right
Mm,
before the pandemic.
mm,
And the production was with Tom Hiddleston, Charlie Cox, and Zawe
yeah,
Ashton. And I was,
yes, yeah.
yeah, I was Zawe Ashton's understudy. And so I was already sort of familiar with this very stripped back style of work that Jamie does, and really asking the actors to focus on the text and the connection with each other.
Hmm.
So I was already familiar with that, which was great. And I think that was the closest to anything I've done that's similar to this. But even in Betrayal, in understudy rehearsals, when you're an understudy, you do rehearse the show week to week.
Hmm.
And we had props in Betrayal, whereas here we don't even have props, right?
Yeah.
So I am grateful for that opportunity, 'cause I didn't feel so caught off guard when Jamie said, "All right, so we're just going to be in these chairs." I was like, "Okay, yeah, this is familiar. I
Yeah.
can do that." Mhm.
And yeah, like it's, and on the one hand, I love the fact that you're saying, there again, super minimalist when it comes to the set and no problem, like nothing. But I just like the idea that okay, we're gonna use our imaginations. For the people at
Yes.
home, that's where you think of things, and it's not on TikTok or anything like that. So the conversations I've had with um, individuals and kids and imaginations. Like I like to think I had imagination. I had toys growing up. I didn't have screens, stuff like that. So, I feel like I'm able to visualize stuff, but some people can't. And I think that's so wonderful that you're the the show is asking for a level of commitment, not only from you but from the audience as well.
Yes.
And
Yes, you pretty much nailed it.
nice.
I
Not,
think,
you know what?
yeah,
Thank you. Thank you. I did it.
you
All right.
did.
Going home, everybody. Wrap it up.
You
No.
did. You nailed it. No, you're right. It's instead of telling you what the letter looks like, you get to imagine what that letter
Yeah.
looks like. Instead of telling you like this is what the cigar is, this is what the the ring looks like. All of this is you get to imagine, and even the children don't
Mm.
exist. We just hear their voices. And so the audience then gets to kind of participate in this storytelling, and they are given the power to make decisions and decide for themselves, like,
Mm.
what's really happening? Is this really happening? Is this how I see it, or is this how I hear it? As opposed to being told to, like, this is the story we want you to know, and we've made these decisions for you. And now you as an audience get to decide for yourself,
Mm.
which I think is really exciting.
Yeah. Like it's, yeah, the idea of, not everything is drawn out is just, that's very appealing and something that I would love to experience that. Cause again, not the show's going to be different for literally everyone. Cause again, we're all thinking of different stuff. So I think that's super cool. Um, and I know you said that you had a background working with the director before, but how was opening night for you?
Opening night was really exciting.
Hmm.
I mean, honestly, there's a lot of anticipatory anxiety that does creep up
Yeah.
prior to opening night. And a lot of people aren't aware, but when you're in your preview schedule, you are rehearsing during the day and then still doing a show in the evening.
Hmm.
And with that too, there's a level of exhaustion that kind of crept in
Yeah.
right before opening night. But honestly, it was so exciting to be able to share this piece with family, with friends, with people in the theater community. And overall, unfortunately, we did not have an opening night party
Mm.
just because we wanted to keep in mind, keeping us all safe and healthy.
Yeah.
People are still getting sick. And that's the one thing I sort of wish we could have had to celebrate. But we all did get a chance to see each other and do a red carpet beforehand and warm up. And no, there's an excitement and an energy in the air in opening night. You can't quite label it, right?
Mm.
Or describe it. It's very um yeah, it's exciting, but also scary. It's like
Yeah.
multiple things all at the same time.
And again, doing this type of show, I don't want to say or generalize every show or audition, but I feel like, the next show that you do, you're going to be like, oh, if I can do a show with nothing, I got it in the bag for this next one. I feel like, yeah, it trains you a bit more.
Yes, yes, it does. And it also, what I love about doing this show that I've never experienced doing any other show was trusting that the text will carry you through, right? And that
Hmm.
as long as you're connected to the text, that's enough. Um, Sometimes you feel like you need the set and the props and the costume and a fan and all these things to really show that you're thinking or doing something, right? This
Mm.
need to feel like you're doing something. Whereas Jamie was really asking us to just connect to it truthfully.
Mm-hmm.
And knowing that you sitting down, me sitting down, listening in a scene
Mm-hmm.
is enough
Yeah.
and interesting enough. And that I think is just so scary, but also an incredible technique to take with any future work I get the opportunity to do.
Yeah. 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 It's I just love the fact that again, you're doing this incredible thing while also, preparing yourself for the future for just like, that thing. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm on it. No problem. Uh,
exactly.
but so, and
Exactly.
you mentioned earlier that you teach acting.
Yes, yes. So I've had so many day jobs. So for years, I've
Mm.
worked in restaurants as a server and a manager, and then the pandemic happened, and I had another child. And so I kind of got to this point where I was like, I can't keep doing the restaurant
Mm.
world. It's
Yeah.
too much, it's too taxing. And I fell into teaching and was an adjunct professor at Marymount Manhattan College. And then a full-time position popped up and I applied and I got it.
Yeah.
And I've always loved teaching. I think my favorite part also at like, when you go after the show and you're signing programs, is talking to young students and young actors.
Mm.
And because I haven't had a very traditional pathway as an actor, I love being able to share that
Hmm.
and let students know that there is no one way, there's no
Right.
formula. Just sort of have to go in with full faith and trust that you're where you need to be wherever you are at that time. So I teach acting. I, of course, taught a full semester last semester and then booked a Broadway show. So
Yeah.
it's, I mean, honestly, every time I think I try to create some kind of exit plan for myself, I book something. And I knew I would still try to do the acting thing, but I was
Mm.
like, but this is full time. So I felt like I might have to compromise some things.
Yeah. There you got bennies. You got them benefits.
Yes, yes, benefits. Oh my gosh, I never had benefits before. Seriously.
Yes, yeah.
Insurance, a like 401k plan. Like there's equity has a 401k plan, but like I have all these other benefits and things,
Yeah.
and then I get paid. I still get paid when I don't show up.
Yes.
Right? Like
Yes.
that.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's such a gift.
I look. I'm not saying I was in the similar situation, but I went to film school, and for years I'm just like, okay, I'll do freelance work, and that's what I did for 10 years, and
Mhm.
then again, similar situation, except I didn't have a baby. The pandemic happened. I needed some sort of work, and I got a full time job, and I'm like, oh, benefits, that's cool.
Yes. Yeah.
I don't health and yeah 401k. I didn't know, what is this? What do you do with that? Oh, nothing. Okay.
Think,
Uh,
wait, so they just save money for me? They just like
huh.
put it away and I don't have to think about it? Yeah.
Huh. Oh, I guess. All right. Sure. Why not?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then once you get them, it's just like, how did I not have this before? It's.
It's really, I think the pandemic a lot, forced people to really evaluate, right? Because we didn't really
Mm,
quite know what was happening in the industry, what was happening. And I went back to school as well. So
mm,
this time, I was like, okay, I think the business must be done with acting. I'm going to go be a nurse.
yeah.
And, and so I started taking prereqs to go to nursing school. And I
Mm.
was actually in microbiology this time last year,
Oh
which
wow.
is
Okay.
crazy. Yeah. Like trying to fulfill those prereqs to go to nursing school because
Yeah.
again everything was just so volatile and you just didn't know.
Yeah.
And once you have a family too, it's just your perspective changes and you go, okay, how do I do this?
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. I mean, still, I'm glad that everything's working out for you, though. Uh, and I don't know. It's just funny how you try to plan your life. But what we and I'm gonna generalize, which I don't mean to do that, but still, we forget to plan about the unplannable, just the things that happen. Obviously, the pandemic is kind of the biggest, most recent one that happened. But still, it's just amazing where the twists and turns of life can bring you.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It's, gosh, the planning thing. Try to plan one thing and other things happen. And I think the lesson in that is just uh, going with the tide,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Go with the tide. I think I read something somewhere. I saw someone had this amazing tattoo, and I think it was like go with the tide or something along the line, like go with the tide or like go with the tide or be dragged, right?
Mm,
And so and I love that because it was like
yeah,
really you kind of just have to go with the flow of wherever life takes you and maybe not resist it so much and
yeah.
embrace it. At least I'm trying to tell myself to do that. Easier said than done, of course.
Right, exactly. You know, if there was a thing in life that said, "Hey, you know what? Just go with the flow, and you'll be able to act with Jessica Chastain," I'd be like, "All right, I guess I'll do it.
Right?
Whatever,
Sure.
fine, cool." Um,
Yeah.
but so I'm interested in the level of acting that your students are at. Just because, you know, my again, my girlfriend is a theater teacher, and it's on, you know, like the high school level, the middle school, high school level. So obviously she's trying to mold them, and going to see a couple of the shows, and you know, I don't want to say anything bad about it, but there's this thing of with new actors who are just fresh, they're just trying, you know, somebody will say their line and they're just trying to wait for that person to end to say their own line. And that was very interesting to me because I was just, oh, so they're not like it's they're still learning, but it's not organic yet. They're not reacting, and like that just kind of like I was like, oh yeah, they're students, but what level? Like, is it fun having somebody come in that's just not at that level yet and just kind of working with them?
Absolutely. I think that's my favorite part. So
Mm,
these actors are freshmen in college,
okay.
some sophomores, and they come in with varying degrees of ability and skill. So
Hmm.
some of the students went to performing arts high school where they have a little bit more knowledge and understanding of like script analysis and
Yeah.
character work, where there are others who love musical theater or love the theater and just did things in their community and
Mm,
don't really have a foundation. So it's nice to have a mix of the two. And I think there is something really exciting about teaching a young actor who's so hungry
yeah.
and so open to learn. Um, Sometimes I think it's harder to teach actors who are have a lot of experience
Mm,
because you're sort of set in your own way, in your own pattern. There's also a lot of ego there as well.
yeah. Yeah.
And that could be tricky, but when you have students who just want to learn and want to grow and want to be better, it makes for a more positive teaching experience. And that waiting for the line and just thinking is so common.
Yes.
It's so common. So common. And so much of acting is really listening
Right.
and then reacting
Right.
and having an opinion about what you just heard,
Yeah.
which gets forgotten about as well.
It's like this is why I mean obviously I love the art of acting and just the acting process, but yeah, again, coming from a film background, I'm just it never really made, or I guess I shouldn't say it never really made sense, but I would ask theater people, you know, oh, what's the difference? Because I was just like, hey, acting's acting. It should be the same thing, right? But no, I'm just like, okay, there are subtle differences, and yes, it's still acting, but I was just, oh, okay. Now I'm starting to see it, and it's just so fascinating to me. I never thought I could do. A, I'm not an actor, first of all, but I never thought I can do a stage show, and I still don't feel that way. But you get me in front of you know, a camera. Okay, yeah, I think I can get something out. But yeah,
Yeah.
I'm terrified of the theater. I can't project either. That's another thing.
Well, there's mics, so you'd be okay with
That's true.
that.
That's true.
There are mics. Unless you're doing, I've done Shakespeare in an outdoor theater where there's zero,
Yeah.
there is no, then you do have to project and sort of take everything out. But I think there's a transition happening in the theater too. And that, Doll's Houses and Betrayal are perfect examples of taking the techniques that are usually done on film and bringing it to the theater and it still being effective.
Hmm.
One of Jamie's, I remember in the audition, he's like, imagine everything is in close up, in
Mm.
extreme close up. And so you're working in extreme close up in a 900 seat theater,
Hmm.
and it still reaches that person all the way up in the balcony.
Yeah.
So I think we are maybe, beginning to move into a direction where there really isn't a big difference, unless it is in a theater that doesn't have mics.
Hmm.
But there's a lot that you could bring to film that that you can um, have used in the theater and it still be effective.
Mm. Mm. My girlfriend was talking about because she does technical directing. She was talking
Hmm.
about the light board, and my brain was like, I want to see this light board. That's that because that's where my brain. I'm like, ooh, what's the tech stuff? I want to do
Yeah,
that. Yeah.
right,
And
right.
when you say mic, I'm like, ooh, what kind of mic? What are we
Yeah.
using today? I'm a techie guy, so that's why I'm like, oh, you know what? I could do the tech stuff. I think that'd be fine.
Oh,
Um,
you would love it. You would love it. It's incredible what they're doing with our sound
yeah.
in the show. You'd think that everyone's mics would be all the way up on volume all at the same time, and that's not the case. Um, our sound team, they are adjusting line by line
Oh, okay, okay.
each. Yeah. So, for instance, you and I are speaking, I stop, my sound goes down, yours goes up, and then back and forth.
Ooh.
It's not just like one set
Yeah, it's not like
level.
set it and forget it and walk away.
That's
No.
right.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
fun. I would have a blast doing that. I would. Yeah. Okay. Okay. That's pretty cool.
it is pretty cool.
But for the people at home who would like to follow you online, where can they do that?
Yeah, so I am on Instagram at Jesmille D, so D as in Darbouze.
Hmm.
Pretty easy to find. Unfortunately, not on Facebook. But yeah, just type in Jesmille Darbouze and my profile should come up. And I'll be posting a lot about the show throughout the run of the show. And hopefully people will get a chance to come out and see this. I sort of wish you could come see this. I think this would be
Oh,
right up your alley.
oh my gosh, for sure. I wish I can bring my girlfriend and we can just have a fun night. Yeah, but you know what? I'll book tickets to New York. We'll get this done really fast.
Well,
He
please
said.
let me know if you do,
Okay.
because I honestly think this would be a really incredible theatrical experience for you and unlike anything you've seen. So,
Yeah, yeah. Well, and is kind of off topic, but on topic. I have a phobia of pronouncing names wrong.
sure.
And so I did search your name because I was just like, oh, okay, well, I don't want to, mispronounce your name or anything like that. But of course, I Googled it and the meaning popped up. Do you know the meaning of your name?
No, the meaning of Jasmille?
Yeah.
No.
Okay,
What is
because
it?
I thought it was pretty cool. Guider,
Oh,
intelligence, optimistic.
that is really accurate.
Yes, and so just hearing you
Amazingly
talk,
accurate.
you certainly teacher, guider, mother, you know,
Yes,
optimistic. You wake up at 6 a.m. That's pretty optimistic, right there.
that's right.
You were going
Yeah.
to school. Yeah, it's just like okay, okay, wow. So you live up to your name.
Thank you. That's so great to hear that. Thank you. And the full pronunciation is Jesmille Darbouze.
Jesmille Darbouze. Okay, yeah, I
Yeah.
know the
I know it's a
pronunciation.
lot. My parents had like a heyday. My mother did. My mother's from the Dominican Republic, and if
Mm.
anything knows about anything, if anyone knows anything about Dominicans, they love to make up names. And so um, this is a made up name. My father's name was Jean,
Mm.
is Jean, and so she actually loved the name Yasmil. In
Mm.
Spanish, it's Yasmil,
Yeah.
and she's like, I'm going to change it and put a J and E. So everyone in the family, it's Jesmil, Jesmil.
Oh, okay. Okay. To my Mexican brain that makes sense. Yes. But thank you so much for chatting. Anytime you want to come back, you have an open invitation. But do you have a show tonight?
Yes,
Okay.
we have a show tonight. We
Okay.
do.
So I feel like I should let you go and just kind of get in your headspace for that.
Thank you, Chris. It was really thank you so much for having me. It was so fun, and I really appreciate it. It was great chatting with you.
You too. You too. And continue to stay safe and healthy and have a wonderful show. Okay.
Thank you. You too. Take
Thank you.
care.
You too. Bye bye.
Bye bye.